Hey everybody, welcome to this third and last part of UV unwrapping. Now we're going to try and cover a few more of the options that we have for UV unwrapping that we didn't cover in the previous two videos, so if you still haven't checked those out, feel free, go and check them out. Alright, so for this one, we're going to try and tackle up one of the more commonly seen models, namely a sphere. Alright, so how would we go about unwrapping a sphere? If we simply toss in unwrap UVW map on top of it, you're going to see that we have these lines here. So that means that previously we're going to have to clear up the unwrap. So convert to and use an unwrap UVW. Alright, so now since we want to add a 2D image to this entire sphere, we're going to have to cut it up. Now, the way that we're going to do this is I'm going to select one of these edges, so the one that is on the side. I'm going to loop this. I'm going to select one more on the side over here and loop this as well. Alright, so now I have the sphere divided into four equal pieces. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and convert the selection to seams. Alright, now we're going to wait for a second. And as soon as that is done, I'm going to go ahead and select one of my polygons and hit expand polygon to selection of seams. So once I have this, now I've showed you how you can use the pelt map. So once you click this, it basically pelts it. You start like this, you get something like this. Then you can relax it down a bit and end up with a piece looking like this. So I'm going to commit this, I'm going to put it aside. Now I'm going to select the second one. I'm going to go ahead, expand the selection, and now I'm just going to click on this quick peel. So this is supposed to give me the same thing that we got here, just without having to go over the actual settings. So again, select quick peel, we have another one, and select quick peel. Alright, so we got these four pieces. Now the thing here is that if I click on rescale elements, it's going to make them all the same size. Now I can go ahead, relax them all, just so we make sure that we don't have any tension. There we go, like this. Apply. And now, with the quick peel here, we saw that we managed to get all of these pieces done. So what I want to do here is now I want to use the quick transform ones. So these quick transform buttons are used for quickly changing these pieces. So for example, if I rotate it around like this, that's the manual way. If I want to go and rotate it for 90 degrees, I can just click here and right away get this way. Also, I can choose to align it horizontally to the pivot or vertically to the pivot, but that might in our case it's going to screw up our unwrap. So for this, once I have all of these, I'm just going to make sure that they are more or less like this. There we go. So put them next to each other. And now I can rescale one more time and put them back custom. Alright, here we are. Alright, let's put the image. And as we can see, our sphere is unwrapped. Now it's very rarely that you're going to have to unwrap a perfect sphere like this, but once you have to do it, you can do it this way. In the past, it used to be a big issue because you had these seams going down the center here. Like you can see it clearly over here, you can see it clearly on the sides, but since Max 2010, I think it was when it was introduced that you can just paint right on top of the actual geometry inside Max. this really isn't a big problem, and with the introduction of either ZBrush or Substance Painter or Quixel Suite, then you can just use the seams that you have here and just paint across the entire model, and you won't have to really care too much that you have these lines running across. Alright, so this was the first way that we can unwrap this sphere. Now, the second way that I'm going to show you is going to require me to delete this unwrap and go ahead, drop in a new unwrap UVW map on top of it. For the second way of unwrapping this, I'm actually going to try and cut out half of the top part as well as the bottom part. So I'm going to hold on Control, select this, loop it, and now I'm going to convert this into a seam. And so you have both of these. So we have the top portion here, you can see it like this. We have this next portion over here. So both of these are separate. Now, I want to have another edge running from the top to the bottom, but from this blue line over here. So I just want to go over up like this. Now, from what you've seen so far, whenever I wanted to get something like this, I would probably go and hold down Control, manually select all the edges that I would want to have as a border, and then convert to a selection. Now, this is not wrong, but if we have a model like this, it's fairly easy to do it, and we can do it. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because I want you to see another way of doing this. That way being, when you're creating your seams, you can choose to go point-to-point seams, or you can even go with the edit seams. But for this, I'm going to use the point-to-point. So I'm going to click here, and what this does is going to allow me to select one of the vertices. So I can just click on this one, and now if I move my arrow around, you're going to see this line following my arrow. So once I click anywhere, you're going to see that this is following that same line. So if I scroll downwards, I can click over here, and right away you're going to see that as soon as I'm done, I'm just going to right click and finish that selection. So that's a very hefty and nifty way of making a cut or defining where your seams are going to run. So just by clicking here, you click, and then it's going to follow wherever your arrow goes. So again, for this, I'm going to hit the top, and now I can either hit the quick planer button and then have to relax it, or I can just click on the quick peel. Let's just see what happens. So I have it here. So quick peel, move it to the side, move it to the bottom, quick peel, move it to the side. And now for this, I can either use the pelt map and then start the pelt like this, start to relax. All right, commit, and you can rotate it around. Let's relax it a bit more. As a polygon, again, you see me doing the same thing, so I increase the amount and relax it by polygons. Start to relax, wait for it to settle down. Stop, run, stop. All right, apply. All right, I'm going to select both of them, rescale, move into the position. All right, now what you can see here is that if you take a look at the sphere, you're going to notice one thing, that all of these squares of the texture are nice. Actually, they look correct until you get about here. So near the edge over here, you get some distortion. That distortion is done because basically Max is trying to follow this curvature. So you can see it over here. So that curvature is more or less the reason why we have that distortion. Now, we can leave it like this. It won't be too much of a problem. Or if we want, we can basically just like select one of the edges over here, one from this side. Now, over here, loop it, and we can break it up like this. And now, since all of these are separate ways, we can just move it around. And when I relax it, again, we're gonna get the same effect happening to all of the pieces. All right, here we go, apply. And even now, we can see that this is trying to follow that curvature the same way. Again, another way that you can choose to unwrap your spheres. All right, so let's close up this sphere, and I want to go over one more complicated model, namely a sphere like this. So this is a geosphere. You can create one quite fast. Simply go over to this standard primitives and choose a geosphere, and that's it. All right, so why a geosphere? Well, if you take a look at the geometry of the geosphere, it really isn't that pretty to look at. But let's go ahead and just dive in and see how we can deal with something like this. I'm going to hit an unwrap UVW, and I'm going to apply my texture. Right away, you're going to see that it's trying to apply a spherical projection map, but it's failing miserably, especially on the poles. So the way to deal with something like this would be to find a logical way of cutting up this sphere. So for example, if I take a look at it from the top, we're gonna notice this pentagon on the top, which means that I can select all of these 5 edges and hit on the loop button. There you go. We get this. So this means that I have a continuous loop going downwards from here. So now I can go ahead and simply select 2 on each side. There you go, something like this, and 2 here, and again hit the loop button. It's going to continue that loop going downwards, and once it gets here, again just click one in the middle and loop it again. Alright, so once I have all of this done, I can click on convert edge to seams and end up with something like this. Alright, so now what I can do is, once I click and expand my selection, I can see that I've actually gotten these aisles or UV aisles that actually have some degree of control over. So I can just go ahead and quick peel them all. Right, quick peel, move it to the side. Select the whole, quick peel, move it to the side. Select quick peel, move it to the side. Alright. So one by one, as you can see, I'm just getting them out of the way. Alright, I know it's a bit of a tedious work, but still has to be done. Alright, again, quick peel, a few more, and we'll be done. So quick peel, and another quick peel. Alright, awesome. So I'm going to select all of them, and first thing we're going to try and make sure that they have been relaxed. So hit relax, stop relax, apply. Make sure that they all have the same scale, but with the rescale button, click on the pack custom, and we can choose to go with it like this, or we can simply take one of these. So let's just take one of these, rotate it, whoops, nope. Alright, rotate it around like this. And now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and select 4 and stitch. Again, 4, oops, stitch, In this case, the reason why this is bigger is because it hasn't been resized, but no worries, we're going to do the same thing as soon as we're done. So again, stitch, and one more on this side, stitch. All right, let's resize this whole thing. Or actually not resize, but let's just relax it down a bit. So there we go. So apply. Now I'm gonna, as soon as I have all of these selected, you're gonna notice that these four have a blue line. That means they're adjacent to this. And this is the only one that doesn't have a blue line. So this means that this one doesn't have any edges that are adjacent to the aisle I have selected. So that means that I can select this one, the rest, or the one that's left over here, and use this as a base on which I'm going to attach all of these. So as you can see, as soon as I select these four light up blue. So again, stitch, 1, 2, all right, 4, stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, stitch, and again, just like previously did, relax it down, start, relax, stop, apply. So now we have 2 aisles or UV aisles that we can put them in the same texture. So I can choose to place them where, however I want to. Make sure that I can just get as much from the texture as possible and put them into the 1 to 0 texture space. All right, let's move it downwards a bit. Just we need to make sure that they don't touch, it don't go out of the bounds, and they don't overlap. So as it is right here, it's okay, but here I have a bit of a problem, but that is not the point of fine-tuning this texture. The final result is that we actually managed to unwrap this seemingly really nasty geometry that we had here. It is very rarely that you're gonna have to unwrap something with geometry that's really this broken up, and usually this would fall into the categories of if you ever have to unwrap some kind of a rock or something that's very organic. In that case, you're gonna have to do, or just try to keep all of these seams at the natural places where that rock might actually have those seams. All right, so we actually got over in these 3 videos, we got over a lot of the unwrapping techniques, and just as the final, I would simply just want to go over and try out all of those techniques on a bit of a modified model of the teapot that comes with Max. The only thing that I've actually changed is I've done a bit of a remodeling, as I've gone ahead and made sure that all of these pieces are no longer separate, but the geometry is flowing through. So if I put a turbo smooth on top of it, you're going to see that it goes like this. So it's going seamlessly, opposed to having it go through it. So how would we go about unwrapping something like this? For example, if you want to place material on top of it, you're going to get this problem. So it's just black, because Max doesn't know how to deal with this geometry. So let's help 3ds Max by unwrapping this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn off the turbo smooth first of all, and I'm going to apply my neutral texture and then hit and unwrap UVW. All right, so first thing that I want to do is I want to get the lid out of the way, because it's a very simple thing to do. I'm gonna hit this edge and ring it. So just actually loop it like this and convert it to a seam. Again, I'm gonna do the same thing to the top. And from what we saw, if you want to unwrap this geometry that's fairly cylindrical, we're gonna have to have at least one seam in the middle. Again, convert to a seam. So I'm going to open my editor, select everything here, move it to the side so it doesn't come in the way. And again, I'm going to select this bottom portion and I'm going to use my quick peel for it and put it to the side. Select the middle part, quick peel, move it to the side, select the top. I can either use the quick peel or the quick planar map. It won't make any much difference. So I'm going to put it to the side. All right, so that we have that out of the way. Now the other thing that we want to do is we want to separate the handle and the front part of the teapot. So the way to do it is simply just, I'm going to click here and loop it. So this is the base of the actual pot. Now the thing is that Max really doesn't go all the way over here, so I'm going to use Control to select it, or I can do what I showed you previously and do the point-to-point seams. So rotate it to here, up to here, then click up to here. As you can see, it's following the road or the path quite easy. Right click to finish, and I'm going to do the same thing for this part, but just so I don't have to do it manually, I'm going to click here and here and then loop it, because those are all around, and convert selection to seams. All right, so once we have that, we need to make sure that we can unwrap this. In practice, this is basically one huge cylinder. So all we'd have to do is make a selection like this. But since we don't want it to go all the way to about here, we can cut it over here, but we're gonna have to go over and cut it downwards. But nah, let's just keep it like this for now. So click here, hold down Control, select the edges I want to the end. Oops. All right, like this. Convert to a seam. And now, once I click here, I can select this whole thing, open the UV editor so I can see what's happening, and hit the quick peel. It's going to peel it off and leave it up like this. All right, let's do the same thing over here. I just want to keep my seam to the inner part. So instead of going on the outer part where it might be visible, I'm just going to keep it to the inner part like this. So deselect these three, so we don't want it over there, and convert selection to seam. Again, select the whole thing, quick peel, move it to the side. That is done. So the only thing that's left is the main body of the teapot. For this, again, as you might guess, I'm gonna try and cut out the bottom part over here. So select the whole loop, then hit convert to seam, and now I need to cut it somewhere so it would logically unfold. In this case, I can either choose to cut it over here or cut it on this side. Wherever I choose to, it's not going to be a problem. It's going to resolve the issue with having to cut it. So let's go with here. And one thing I want to mention is that whenever I'm talking about cutting the model, I'm not actually cutting the geometry, I'm just cutting the UV space, or the texture, wherever the texture is supposed to go. Alright, so like this, hold down, make sure I have this selected so it's going all the way down, and now I'm going to hit on convert edge to seam, select the inner part, select to expand my polygon selection to the seams, and from here I can choose this. As you can see, the whole thing is unwrapped like this. There we go. And what's left is the bottom. So again, quick peel and done. All right, so with this, I have all of my elements. I can rescale them so they all get the same amount of UV space. I'm going to relax them all. So again, amount 1, going to relax them by polygon, and there we go. So apply again and pack them all together. And now if I put a texture on top of this, you're gonna notice this entire pot has that texture showing up correctly without any quirks or issues or problems. And so with this, we come to the conclusion of this short UV unwrapping series, where we try to cover the majority of the techniques used to unwrap simple and more complicated shapes. Now, I'm pretty sure that when you're working on your own models, you might encounter some more complex shapes, but just by following these ways of unwrapping stuff, by simply using the quick peel or the quick planer, you're probably going to end up with being able to deal with the unwrapping process. So if you guys enjoyed watching these videos, then don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, as it really does help a lot with YouTube. And that would be it for now. So I'll see you all in the next videos.